Hi there, it's Craig the Natural Medic, going to do a hike to part of Devil's Garden Trail here in Arches National Park. It's December 16th, 2024 when I'm attempting this. And let's take a look at the trail itself. Well, if you look at the board here, to the landscape arch is 1.8 miles round trip, elevation change of 40 feet, 30 to 60 minutes total. It is the second most popular after Delicate Arch, or second most well-known in the park. I hope you'll follow me down to Landscape Arch here in the Devil's Garden Trail, Arches National Park. Starting off, you're looking at these big fins that show you the Devil's Garden here. You had upward pressure, rainwater, erosion, and everything like that, causing interesting features to form, sometimes arches. And we're going to go see one, the Landscape Arch. Right here, got some signposts showing Landscape Arch is 0.65 miles. To the left, back to the trailhead is a quarter mile. You can go to some other arches over here, Tunnel Arch and Pine Tree Arch, both of which are less than 0.2 of a mile away. Just to give you an idea of what you're hiking into, lots of interesting rock formations everywhere, which I guess is why they call it the Devil's Garden, just because it's so otherworldly looking. If you want to do the entire trail, it's about 8 miles, takes between 3 and 5 hours. Here's our first view here of the Landscape Arch. Isn't that cool? Supposedly it's the longest natural arch outside of China. Okay. So we're looking at Landscape Arch. This is a good overall view. The arch is slightly longer than a football field. Arches, of course, is a living laboratory. Different disciplines are doing different monitoring of different things in the park. Pretty cool place. It really is the perfect time to be out here doing this. If you want to continue on the primitive trail, it actually goes over here to the right. And loop to trailhead is 4 miles, and does require some scrambling, some route finding, things like that. If you want to go the main trail to Double O Arch, one way from here, rock scrambling, exposure to heights, etc. Don't think we're going to make it all the way to that today, but may go up here to Navajo and Partition Arch just to check those out. But for now, look at this lovely view of Landscape Arch. Isn't that cool? Now you can take a look at the arch here, and it's very thin compared to some of the other arches. You can see this big pile of rubble over here. I believe in 1991 was when a bunch of rock fell, and people were actually here to witness it. Nobody was hurt, but it's thought this one is toward the end of its lifespan because of the cracks, and of course part of it falling off back in 1991. Pretty interesting. This is about as close as view as you can get without actually getting in the danger zone. Hey, by the way, if you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that it's worth viewing and gets out to other people. Thanks. So coming up from Landscape, you scramble up this rocky hill through a gap in the fence. You can see where the trail is because the rock's worn down where people have tread on it. Slow going, as you can hear from my breath. Seems like a long time when you go through the rock gap up to the turnoff to Partition and Navajo. But they're only 0.2 and 0.3 past, about a quarter mile past Landscape Arch. If you want to continue on a Double O Arch, it's straight ahead, but the trail gets significantly more difficult. There's also Dark Angel, and you can come back on the primitive trail if you want, or double back on the same trail. Okay, I'm inside Navajo Arch. This is a cooler view, I think. There's some really cool trees in this little spot right here, back in this little gap between the rock fins. But this is Navajo Arch. I would imagine so called because it's formed in Navajo sandstone, which is prominent in this area. Really cool tree right here hanging out in the entrance of it. And it's pretty cool that you can walk through it. There's the little sign for it. Navajo Arch. And here it is from the outside. Very cool. Slightly different view of Navajo Arch. And this is from the west side. Cool. Interesting thing to think about. We're here at Navajo Arch. This tree is right here. And it's well established. It's probably about 10 feet tall. What impact will this have on the weathering and erosion of the arch in the future? I don't think it's going to get any taller, but what are the roots going to do? I'm actually standing on the other side of Partition Arch. There is some railways, fencing, which you really can't see because of this trees in the way. Let me get a little closer. I was standing over there where that little patch of snow and ice is, and Landscape Arch is just on the other side of this ridge here. You just can't see it from this particular angle. If I was able to somehow get down here where this tree is, I could probably see it, but I'm not going down there. If you want to look from this side at the Partition Arch, here it is. Bye-bye. Part of the question for this particular geocache. The question for this cache is, why is there debris down here? And there is a fair amount. Rocks that are loose. You have some branches, some trees. Very interesting. Better view of Partition Arch from the uphill side. Landscape Arch is over here to the south, but what a beautiful view through the arch here. If you look behind me, there's a strong slope, so I imagine when it rains, there's a lot of stuff that moves through the portal here, which probably contributed to its creation, as well as will contribute to its demise in the future. I certainly think it's cooler when you can peer through these arches like windows. And this is one of the best views in the park, in my opinion, that I've seen so far. Okay, you can definitely see the pathway. The rock is pretty worn going down this ridge here to come back towards Landscape Arch, which is just around the corner. Partition Arch, just on the other side of this rock. You cannot really see it from here, but I was just standing there a second ago. Okay, coming back over here, you can see Partition Arch as we are back at Landscape Arch. Pretty cool. Didn't know that was going to be where I was going to be standing at one point. All right. You can see Landscape Arch behind me, and Partition Arch is over off of my left shoulder. Hopefully you can see that as well. And one thing to bear in mind with accessing the park on December, November, January, February, no timed entry. The park gets heavy 1.8 million annual visitors to a park that's only 76,000 acres. We do a timed entry stamp because it's so popular. I don't know about you, but it's weird to see yucca with snow on it.
Yeah.
Okay, right here is a branch off the main trail going back to the trailhead. You can go to Tunnel Arch, which is this way. You can see it from here, right on top of the hillside there. Right now we're going to check out Pine Tree Arch, which is this way. Okay, right here, the Pine Tree Arch, and the trail ends here, so I can get a little closer and stand under it, etc. I'll do that in a second, but I just want to give you a good view of the arch. Pretty cool. I would assume it's called Pine Tree Arch because there are all kinds of pinyon pines around the area and underneath it. So our last arch for this video, Tunnel Arch, which is close to the beginning. Looks like you've got another arch forming to the left of it a little bit. Pretty cool. You can see right through it like a tunnel. I don't know. Maybe more like a window. What do you think? Okay, that was a quick and dirty through the Devil's Garden. Saw 5 arches 5 arches. It's crazy. Overall, a nice, decent hike. Get to the end of it, we're going to be a little bit over 4 miles, about 4.3 miles, including dilly-dally time, about 2 hours and 30 minutes, roughly, give or take. Hope you enjoyed. This is a lovely view. You're treated to when you come out of the Devil's Garden. And look at that great view of the La Salles. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Until next time, see you on the trail.